Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Today I'm joined by Mike from at GummyMinis.com, which will actually be a Kickstarter tomorrow, and there are links in the description as always, folks. But Mike, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Stevens and I'm the founder of Crawlspaces and Critters. You can find us at GummyMinis.com. That'll take you to our Kickstarter for tomorrow. And we make edible gummy minis. We want to have a full line and eventually we want to make a dragon.
Yeah, they're edible, but they're not edibles. Just so people know.
There's no THC, no funny business in our gummies.
Not yet.
We have kids of all ages are going to want to eat our gummies. So we made the decision not to add them. And that's usually everybody's first question is saying, hey, you going to put THC in them? No, we're not.
I don't know. I kind of want to see that. I mean, I don't even get high, but I still want to see it. I bet there's a market for that, but I also don't know what would be involved. And do it here in Jersey, it's legal. So,
yeah, well, down here in Texas, it's not. So,
no.
I would have to move to make that a reality.
Yeah, you can just shoot people, but getting high, out of the question. Yeah. So, what brought this about? How did you come up with this idea that I'm going to make edible minis that are gummies? Because I've definitely seen people use candy and food in the past for minis.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was a couple of things, actually. I was binge watching GM Tips one day, and I saw Satine Phoenix interviewing Matt Covell. She came up with the idea because they said, we used to use M&Ms or Fig Newtons whenever we didn't have the mini that we needed. And so they would, you kill it and you get to eat it. And then Satine came up with the idea. She's like, gummy minis. And she turns to the camera and says, somebody do that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know exactly how to do that. I can do that. So I got started and first I started looking to see if anybody had already done this. And that was back in 2019 when we started. And no, there wasn't anything. Then, so I started working with silicone and we made a couple of molds. Here's one. This is our first one that worked. And a nice little accordion CNC in there, right? And that worked out nicely. And it made good gummies that actually look like little miniatures. But there were some problems with it. It wasn't really repeatable on a mass scale. So we had to look for other types of molds. And we finally found a candy manufacturer that was willing to take a risk. Well, willing to risk our money on maybe getting something. And they came up with a little tiny metal mold for us. That worked out great. And then they said, we're going to take that and turn it into a spring mold and see if we can pump it out into our big machines that are capable of pumping out 600 pounds an hour. So
that's a lot of gummy minis. That's like a whole horde of goblins.
That is an army. Yes. We have some smaller machines that we're probably going to start with. There's a whole gambit of machines that can work with these molds. There's semi-automatic, there's automatic, and then there's the big boys, like I said.
What is on the Kickstarter? Like, what is going to be on the Kickstarter? What can people back for?
Well, you can back a couple of things. We're going to start with the Goblin, and we have 13 flavors. We have, 8 normal flavors? Well, normal. And we have 5 spicy flavors. And so the 5 spicy flavors are going to be mild to wild, and they really burn at the end. So if you like spicy stuff, you should give that a look. We also have a opportunity to donate gummy minis to children at the Children's Miracle Network. We partnered with them, and they're really excited about it because most of the donations that come in are toys for little children, and people forget that there's teenagers in those hospitals. And so the teenagers get left out on a lot of the donations. So Children's Miracle Network said that they're going to hold on to those gummies and give them to the teenagers. Oh. And there's 170 hospitals that they support, and they provide 32 million children treatments a year.
And how did you guys connect with the hospitals and that charity?
Well, that's actually, they were my second pick, actually. And that's the reason that I picked them. I had gone to, Game to Grow, and I asked them if they would like to be the benefactor of the donated gummies. And they said they weren't playing in person yet because of COVID-19.
Uh-huh.
So I started looking. I know that the hospitals are still open, so I went and I found them. But we are doing something with Game to Grow as well. That's going to be called Spice and Dice, which is a charity event where the C team from Acquisition Inc. is going to eat spicier and spicier gummies for 2 hours while donations come in. And that's going to be on October 9th as part of PAX Australia.
2 hours is a long time to be eating spicy stuff.
Yes.
Someone's going to die.
I'm kind of curious because we're making quite a few gummies for them to eat.
Are there like waivers that have to be signed? Like if you die from eating one of our gummies, it is not our fault.
Well, one won't kill you, but I mean a handful maybe.
Well, I mean, if they keep going, right? The idea is they get spicier and spicier and they keep eating them. Like, is it going to be like a competition, or is it like, what is it? Hot Ones where they like ask them questions and they eat like wings at the same time?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except it's as the power bar fills up with donations, then they have to eat another spicy gummy. Or if the DM says, no, you messed up, you rolled a 1, you have to eat a spicy gummy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
it should be a lot of fun.
Do you expect there will be much demand for spicy gummies?
I'm not sure, but I started talking about it because it was Adam Davis's idea, the founder of Game to Grow. And the more I talk about it, the more people are like, "Oh, I want spicy gummies."
Yeah, and I can see cinnamon, right? Like cinnamon makes sense, but some of the other ones are a little more obnoxious.
I could see that. But the jalapeno ones are absolutely amazing. We paired them with lime. So they start off with the lime citrus flavor, and then it slowly transitions into a jalapeno salsa afterburn. And it's just a slight afterburn. It's not too bad. That's the first level, right? Then we move on to our not so mellow yellow, which is a Thai pepper tied in with a pineapple. And so again, the amazing thing about this is how it worked is we picked the flavors that we had already selected for the Kickstarter, and then we started pairing the different peppers to them. And all of them have their first flavor. So the pineapple comes in, and then the Thai pepper burns. And so it's amazing on all, except for the ghost pepper. The ghost pepper just burns from the moment you put it in your mouth.
And nothing pairs with ghost pepper.
Well, we paired it with watermelon, and it actually does okay.
Yeah, it mellows it out. So who's the candy chef?
Myself and my wife. My business partner Russ has not done the cooking on all of that. He's more an ideas guy and getting stuff done on the back end business stuff. So it's been me and my wife, and thank goodness my wife has been involved, because there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I don't know what to do with this one, and she's able to pull it out. And she made some sugar-free ones as well, and so those worked out well. I was really excited about those.
Us diabetics of the world will rejoice. Will they be offered on the Kickstarter, the sugar-free ones as well?
Unfortunately not. And we don't have vegan ones either, but we have regular gelatin gummies with normal sugar content. But it is something that we want to offer. We just didn't want to bite off too much to chew while we're setting up our FDA approved kitchen. And that's really what the Kickstarter is all about, is getting us the funds so that we have a kitchen that we can go to, because you can't just make these in your house and then sell them to the game store and then have them sell them, because that's violating cottage kitchen laws. You have to be there. If you make something in your house, you have to be there at the moment of sale. And so you're not allowed to have someone else resell it for you, unfortunately. Right.
Okay. So in order to get around that, you have to set up your house a certain way. Then you're not a cottage kitchen.
Yes, basically you have to have another building on your lot. It has a kitchen in it and a bathroom and a sink, all that stuff.
Or rent space.
So we're going to be renting a basically a kitchen.
Yeah. Can't you just outsource it like you would like minis?
Oddly enough, no. We tried that. We looked for that at first. Everybody told us it couldn't be done. After they laughed in our face, they told us it couldn't be done. And then, you show them the minis that you created here in your house. You're like, I'm
Uh,
doing it in my kitchen. And you'll have this whole facility and you're
yeah,
telling
yeah.
me you can't do it. And they say, no,
What we really mean is we can't do it for the amount you're gonna make. So
well, even still, the guys that thought it was a good idea said that it couldn't be done.
yeah.
Um, I met a guy down in Florida, and he has a massive facility where he white labels for a lot of people that sell gummies on Amazon. And he said, no, like the molds won't fill up correctly. Okay, but they do.
But they
I can
do.
prove it.
But yeah, well, yeah. Why wouldn't you be able, if you can make molds for other things like bears and snakes and rats? Why can't you make them for
Oh,
goblins
because
and
a
other
lot of
monsters?
those, they have what I call it, they're flat back gummies.
Uh-huh.
They have an open mold where they
Oh
pour
yeah.
it into the mold. We have an open mold too. It's just our mold opens up and comes apart. They just turn their molds over and dump the gummies out, where ours actually has to, again,
Uh-huh.
open up and pull the gummy out.
Got you. I don't believe them. You're clearly, well, obviously you're doing it, but
Yeah.
it can be done. So are your gummies to scale?
We call it whimsical scale. They're just a
Oh,
little bit bigger than normal. And that's because, when you're working in the gummy medium, there's only certain things you can get away with, right?
uh-huh.
You can't have an arm sticking out with the sword because it's just going to slowly droop over time and fall over. So we have everything, close to the chest, holding a sword down like a chess piece.
Uh-huh.
And that works out well. But when we had the smaller ones, we were getting a lot of air bubbles
Yeah.
because the nozzle that we were using to inject it with is just too big, and you can't really force a lot of gummy through a smaller hole. It just it's too viscous.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't work. Gotcha. So you did send me some gummies, which is super cool. A little while back, and we've showed them off before, but I'll show them again. Um, and there's the goblins, and they come in. Yeah, we have the different colors. Can you guess which ones the green are? So, yeah, these are super cool. You can clearly see they're goblins. And now that I've had you on and showed you, now I can eat them. And
Yeah,
my family has been eyeing them.
yeah, that's one of the funniest things about this is when you're making gummies, you're cooking. And so now I've cooked for you, and I've cooked for a whole litany of people that I would have never gotten to meet or cook for.
No,
I think that's probably the funniest part.
you're a gummy chef.
Uh, Connoisseur.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, how do you handle the gross factor
Oh, so we have had
for
some
the
people
germaphobes
say,
out there?
I'm not going to put that on my board. It's sticky. And it's like, well, no, they're not. They're not sticky. They're gummies. I mean, if you get them wet, which you're not going to do,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they might get a little bit sticky. But we use upside down bottle caps. They're perfect because they're flat and smooth on the bottom, so they won't mar your game table or your terrain. And then they also provide a little bit of a lip so you can move them around without touching the gummy. And they're 1 inch, so they're to scale. And we're all used to basing our minis anyway, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
shouldn't be a problem.
Nice. You should sell special bottle caps. Not really bottle caps, but dishwasher safe. Yeah, I mean you could do disposable or you could reusable. But like they're basically little bottle caps with a spike on the inside that you stick the gummy to,
Oh, that's a good idea.
right? And then they won't move around, and then people could have them. I mean, eventually you could actually do heroes as well. So,
Hero
Parks
clicks,
wants to
yeah.
know: is there a wasabi flavored one?
Ooh, no, there's not a wasabi flavored one yet.
Yet.
That's a
So
good one.
that is super cool. So how many? So who have you sent gummy minis out to so far?
Well, I started with Satine Phoenix, and that was great. We actually got to do that on camera and see her reaction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've sent some to Matthew Lillard. I've sent them to you. I've sent them to Sarah Thompson. She did combat wheelchair.
Okay.
I've sent them out to so many people. It's I'm just really trying to get the word out.
Yeah.
A lot of people have posted them. They all love them.
Have you reached out to like the different people that do like Dungeons in the Box, like RPG Crate and Dungeon Crate?
No, not yet.
That seems like a cool thing to put in there,
Yeah, definitely.
right up your alley.
That's a good idea. I'll have to write that down.
So yeah, so what are the different tiers going to be on the Kickstarter?
Well, we have essentially it's going to be one tier. We're only
Okay.
selling gummies, and you can get the different packs of gummies. We're going to have a little bit of a price break when it gets to bulk. I don't want to go into all of that right yet.
Okay.
We are still narrowing that down. Day before the Kickstarter, nothing like it.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're going to have 48 gummies per package, and they're going to be $8 a package.
And is it going to be all goblins or are you doing other monsters?
We have goblins right now. We have food safe molds. We can make 1,800 goblins per pour right now.
Uh-huh.
But we wanted to have those molds ahead of time before we got to the Kickstarter, just to make sure that we'd be able to actually make what we said we'd be able to make. We do have models for a paladin. We have a skeleton, and we also have a bard. We're working on a baby owlbear.
Yeah.
And eventually we want to have a full lineup. But again, like I said, we didn't want to bite off too much to start with. So I think we're going to be offering the three models, the goblin, obviously, and then the skeleton, and then the paladin to help clean up those goblins and skeletons.
So how hard is it to get those red details in on the yellow ones?
On the yellow ones?
Yeah, I'm looking at the sign up page for Kickstarter, and there's some yellow ones that have red eyes.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was fun. That one's actually not that difficult to do. You can take and have a little syringe, and you have to do it by hand. Again, it's a lot like the dice makers do when they're mixing different epoxies or whatnot. We're just mixing different gummy juice.
Yeah. So yeah, so definitely it's definitely a cool thing. When did you start coming up with this idea? I'm sure like this is kind of very much an in-person thing. So 2020 has been brutal for any kind of like innovation when it comes to person to person.
Right. We started on this in 2019. I went to Russ and I was like, hey, I've got a great idea. We're going to make gummy minis, you and I. And he laughed, and then he said, only if we can make a dragon. And so we got to work on it right then.
Yeah.
And we were ready to launch in 2020. And then COVID happened, unfortunately. It just seemed like it would be a horrible time to launch a food product.
Yeah.
That especially is meant to be played with.
Did you have an opportunity to beta it at your own table prior to COVID?
Oh, yes, of course. Okay. And then we also took it to game stores. And the instant joy that people see it in person, it's like a kid getting a puppy. They just love it. They instantly get it, and they want to eat it. Well, they want to kill it, and then they want to eat it.
Totally makes sense. And so what is the goal going to be?
The golem?
Goal. How much do you have to reach in order for us to get gummy?
Oh, excuse me, the goal.
Yeah.
We're going to be going for $20,000. That's enough to get the kitchen and get a machine as well as the ingredients.
Yeah.
The ingredients are a big part of everything. Obviously, we have really great suppliers. We worked with the Candy Association just because I worked in IT before this, and I had never done any manufacturing, anything like that. And of course, so the candy manufacturers, they all have their associations. We went there, and it was great. They treated us really well. They loved the idea. They told us it would be impossible to do like the other manufacturers, but they didn't want to stop us. So they kept helping us out wherever they could. And we have a great relationship with our rep there.
Yeah. It's so weird that everyone told you it was impossible. Like it seems like a very possible thing.
Well, right. I mean, especially since you've seen it. And you know, that's what I kept telling everybody. Like I did it in my kitchen. Surely you can do it.
I mean, it's not like you guys are trying to make a replicator from Star Trek. So
that would be nice though, wouldn't it?
Parks wants to know: is there a process that will make them kind of like a gusher candy with a liquid center?
So I looked into that, and I actually read the patent on how gushers are made,
Uh huh.
and they still own the patent on that. And I'm not sure exactly if I'd be able to recreate it. They use a big machine that
Yeah.
has a disc that comes around, and it opens up as it's coming around, and then that's where the gummies will fall out. But as it comes in, as it's going in, they inject one as it's closing, so it gets around on the outside, and then they have another injection that comes in, and that's where the gusher part comes from. But we wanted to do that because we were like, man, that'd be cool if we could put like red inside their head, and
Yeah.
have it pop like that.
So Dave wants to know: will they come in packaging so I can hand them out at a con so only the one player touches it?
We're working on a lot of different packaging options. I just recently saw some Albanese gummy bears that were 25 cents in a little package. So it'd be like a single serving.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe we could put like two in there. That would be a great idea. Um, yeah, that would be a really good idea. Thank you, David.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a challenge to overcome, but also I think it's a very overcomable challenge after you've already overcome the impossible challenge of making gummy minis. So,
Right. And that's where we spent our seed money, was
yeah.
actually making sure we could create these things. I had some people tell me that you need to have your packaging nailed down. We don't have pictures of our packaging because we didn't want to spend our seed money there.
Uh,
Anybody can take a piece of plastic and make a bag out of it. It's not hard. And the machines to do that are cheap and easy and dime a dozen. But
right.
to actually create the gummy goblin, that was something completely different.
When is the expected delivery?
We are hoping that it's going to be May of 2020 or 2022, excuse me.
So you're like, ha! If creating impossible gummies is doable, we can do time travel next.
Yeah, right. Well, it's kind of funny. I make the joke when one of the reasons that I wanted to start doing this was to replace my career as a programmer. In
Yeah.
2015, I fell down my stairs and I hit the back of my head, gave myself occipital neuralgia, which is extreme headaches. So the more I focus, intense focus, like on programming, the more it flares up. So this is really something to help provide for my family and give me something to do that I enjoy. And now I forgot where I was going with that. The time travel. So I fell and I hit my head, and I didn't invent the flux capacitor. I invented gummy minis.
Nice. That's kind of funny. A reference that many people will be too young to get, sadly.
We just made our kids watch it the other day, and my son was
Oh.
like, "Why is he kissing his mom?"
Oh yeah, I'm like, it was the
it's
80s.
it's
Things were weird.
it was weird, man. I'll tell you, it's kind of funny how that happens.
I went and like I made my kids watch a bunch of stuff like Willow and Time
Oh, that's a great one.
Bandits and uh Legend, and like my son was like, "Why are there so many little people in all these movies?" I'm like, "Well, we didn't have CGI the way we do nowadays."
Yeah, and the camera tricks, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it was a little bit different. So, so switching gears a little bit, let's get into a little bit more about you. Like, how did you get into gaming? How long you been gaming for?
Oh, I've been gaming, my entire life. I've been a nerd ever since I was a little kid. My parents had computers, and they didn't really encourage the D&D stuff. There was a satanic panic, and my mom was like, "No, there's devil worshippers down at the park," and
Uh,
no, there weren't. So I did a lot of my gaming on the computer, and then when I joined the Marine Corps is the first time that I really got to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I fell in love with it instantly. It was something to do. We could, pick up games, and there's always a game going somewhere. So no matter where you were in the Corps, you had people to play with.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people kind of got started in the military. There's this huge gamer crossover with the military for sure. So funny story, Dave. Dave wants to know, bringing any con soon.
um, I hope so. There's a problem with that. And the problem is that it's a food item, and a lot of the conventions are, run in a convention center, and they have their food sales out there. And so I tried to go to Gen Con and get a table, and they never got back to me, which I thought was kind of weird. They didn't even say no, or, thank you for your submission, but we're full, anything like that. And so I got there and I'm like, there's an open table over there. I've got this briefcase full of gummies. I'm just going to set up and see what happens. And one guy walked by and he took a pack
You needed
of
a trench coat, man. You needed a trench coat with
That's
baggies
it.
of
That's
minis.
incognito.
Hey, bud.
And then the floor manager came over and he said, hey, you can't do this. I'm like, yeah, I've kind of figured. I did apply for a table. And he says, yeah, well, the reason you didn't get a table is because there's THC in your gummies. I says, no, there's no, it's just candy. He goes, well, but in the final product, there's going to be THC. And I said, no, it's just candy. And then, he realized, oh, we made a mistake. And so he said, you know what, go ahead and pack up, give me your number, give me your business card, and I'm going to try and get you a table here in a little while. And it was already halfway through Gen Con. And so he said, we'll give you a discount. And then they contact me again and they say, well, you can't do it because the convention center doesn't want you to be passing out food because it's going to eat into their food sales. And I'm like, really, 2 gummies per person is eating into their food sales? They say, well, we can't do it. So we're going to have to try and figure out a way to get into the conventions. It's going to either be through telling them we're just a miniature company. And if they come by and say, well, can you eat that? Well, you can eat glass if you put your mind to it. Yeah, you can eat it. So maybe one day we'll get to conventions. I'd love to. Honestly.
Yeah, beforehand, me and Mike were talking, and like we were trying to put together our own convention, and it was a brilliant idea in 2019, not so much in 2020. And we'd gone through a good part of the process, and that is part of, like, if you go to a convention center and an expo center, any place like that, they usually have their own food. And that's one of the things you can't sell food at those places. So it's tough. Yeah, I think you could still get it. You could probably take orders and set up tables. Like I think it'd be cool. At least people could see them anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Though it is something people would much rather, taste. But at least they could see them and like place orders on, at your website or whatever. If you were to set up like little mini dioramas and terrain. Maybe run some DnD games at your table.
Yeah, definitely. Tell them, well, hey, where's your local gaming store? All right, go there and tell them to contact us and buy some gummy minis, and then you can just get them at your store.
So have you guys prototyped any other type of mini yet? Or have you just been focused on making sure the goblins work?
Oh, no. Like I said, we have a skeleton that works, and we have a paladin. And we also have the bard. We're still working on the bard. It's not complete yet. The feet were kind of a problem on that one. We're learning something on each of these things, and we're trying to push the boundaries because it is. There's no engineering book that tells you like this is the viscous property, and you have to have something or a piece of gummy this thick that can extend out this far without it drooping. So there's a lot of different little tricks that you can do. And again, we've got them so that they're, everything's close. It's kind of like the older minis that were, more flat than 3D, where they had just a split part mold. So like the swords in part of the cape, it's not just sticking out there by itself, right?
Oh, Brian has a great idea. A gingerbread dungeon.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. Especially like, I mean, anytime it'd be cool, but especially like during the holidays.
Yeah. Make a little gingerbread mini for the next Kickstarter.
Gelati cube with crunchy bits. You had said gelatinous cube is one of the things that was requested. Right.
And you had said something about, well, that's just a cube. It's like, well, if we're going to do a gelatinous cube, then we're going to have, a decaying body trying to like get out of it, or maybe some rats, and you put some sugar bones in there.
Yeah, there's definitely some options.
Yeah.
Um,
Going back to that Gushers idea, that was the other thing that we wanted to do, was see if we could figure out how to make a little sugar skeleton so
uh,
that the gummies would actually have bones in it. And we're thinking about doing that again so that, they could be holding up a sword and
yeah.
actually it
Oh,
would
give it some
be out
form.
there, right? Exactly. That would be cool.
That would be very cool. It's probably also impossible.
Oh yeah, I'll get to it next year.
Well, it's pretty exciting, to take an idea like this, and also too sometimes it's just like, why hasn't anyone done this before, right? Like, I mean, in theory, you've been working on this even before the Nerds crossover with Hasbro, um, which is more recent. So like, and it just makes sense, like gamers and snacks, like
Right.
yes,
Well, so I started thinking about that when I really started working on this. I'm like, we could have had gummy minis forever.
yeah,
Like there's no the split part molds old, very
yeah.
old technology. It's just nobody put two and two together, and so now that we've got it working, and we're going to have gummy minis. But I mean, Gary Gygax could have been playing with these if he wanted to.
Oh yeah.
All of the war gamers that were playing with the chiseled lead minis, they could have been playing with this if they wanted to.
Ryan Smith wants to know: did you cut your teeth on creepy crawlers?
Creepy crawlers.
Yeah, it used to be like a toy. Like basically it made like not gummies, but like a
Oh,
gel.
right.
Like you would infuse the molds, and then you could make your own creepy crawly
No, I
bug
remember those
monsters.
now.
Yeah,
No, I never had those, unfortunately.
I never did either, but I'm definitely aware of them. So
Yeah. My sister had an easy bake oven, but that's about the closest.
yeah, well, you can bake a little tiny cake if you dedicate like 3 hours to it. Well, that's pretty funny. So, what were some of your initial reactions so far from people?
Oh, it's great. Um, like I said, people really have a great reaction to it. It's like a kid getting a puppy or seeing their first magic trick. People have told me, "Oh, this would be great for one shots. This would be great as a way to entice new players
Uh,
to maybe joining your table." Um, the expanding the monster manual, because if you think about it, a goblin's green generally, right? Well, now we've got red goblins. Well,
yeah.
can we give them some sort of magic ability based on the color that they are? Okay, we've got a yellow one. What about a purple one? Well, purple sounds like it should be phased, don't you think?
Have you considered doing like a gummy verse?
Dolstopia, yes, we have. We're working on a module. It's taken a little bit longer than we were hoping it would, but we have some art ready for it, and it will probably be released during the Kickstarter, but it's not going to be there at the beginning.
Yeah. One of the awesome things about a project like this is that it has mass market appeal. Like you can just change the packaging, and all of a sudden they're just gummy goblins that you could sell to muggles in a regular store that just happen to like fantasy stuff, right? So
Exactly.
so which is awesome. The while the RPG and D&D demographic and market has grown tremendously, it's still nice to be like, oh, I can also sell to regular people as well and expand your market, because that's like one of the hard things about what we do is we're all pulling from this small pie.
Right. And you're absolutely correct. Like little kids love these things because they have so much more detail than a normal gummy.
Yeah.
And you actually feel like I'm playing with a little toy. And I see little kids taking, fighting.
Who doesn't want to make monster
It's
noises
magic.
with their candy? So
Right. I mean, your parents always told you not to eat with your food, and we're going to tell you go right ahead, man. There's nothing wrong with it.
play with your food, murder it, and play with it, and then eat it.
Yeah, it's great. My daughter, she first grabbed it and bit its head off, and then I saw her look at it, and then she got another one and she turned it around and grabbed it by the ear, and she bit the body off, and then she threw the head at me. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh my god!
So now she does that during our games. I'm like,
Nice.
she got the kill. Here comes the head.
The head, yeah, she's going right for the head or leaving the head, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's fun. You can use them for decoration in your terrain. I cut a bunch of their heads off and put them on pig poles.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's super cool. Just like on toothpicks or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Paint them brown, make them fit the part.
Yeah, I mean that's so cool. Like even like using it as a prop, pull out a little bag and be like, "Oh, you found a bag of goblin heads," and like it's just a bunch of heads from the gummy goblins.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. So so now you're now that you're a candy chef, do you still have time to play D&D?
That's dropped off quite a bit, actually. Starting a business is no joke. I have to wear so many hats.
So I've heard.
Yeah, right. There's the social media aspect. There's the shipping aspect. There's the customs. There's the lawyers. The all of it. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much work there is to starting a business. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and create jobs for people. And this was the first time that I've actually given it a good solid try.
Yeah.
And man, it's
Turns out it's hard work.
Yeah, definitely. But it's going to be worth it because so many people are going to enjoy these things. And so many people have already enjoyed them. I mean, we've given away hundreds and maybe 1,000 of these things already.
So folks, you can go into the description and click the link for brain work for the
Kickstarter.
Yeah, for the Kickstarter, and sign up, and you'll get notified when the Kickstarter goes live. So you take advantage of it and get some gummy goblins in your life. Someone mentioned rock candy elementals. I'm like that would be pretty awesome.
That would be cool.
I don't know how hard it is to shape rock candy.
I don't know. I don't even know how you make rock candy, but now
the
gears are turning.
It's just water and sugar. But I did it as like a science thing when I was a kid. So rock candy's easy to eat. I don't know that rock candy.
I was thinking of Pop Rocks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, rock candy. I bet you we could get that figured out.
Oh yeah, I don't know that it's easy to make a rock candy monster though.
Well, I wonder if you had it form inside of a mold. I don't know. It probably wouldn't.
I know when we made it like on string, like
yeah,
it ends up on string. But you know what? When I do a quick search, there is something that comes up, but I don't know if it's actually food or not. So I think you guys can do it. I have faith in you guys.
Thank you.
Right after you finish those dragons, you can start working on those rock candy elementals. Which it would also just be cool if like every time you come up with a new candy, you're just creating pieces of lore for this candy D&D world.
Oh yeah, that's the goal, right? We looked at it this way. We said, you know what? We've got a completely new product that's never been in a game store before, and we're probably going to have a pretty easy time getting into a game store. Not like I'm starting out making a module that I just want to get in there. I'm like, well,
have you guys patented it?
There's nothing to patent, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, I know like some things you can and some things you cannot.
Yeah. Trust me, I went to the lawyer and I asked him so many different ways. Like, well, have you thought about it like this? He's like, no, that won't work. No,
it's just a gummy and a goblin, and both of those things are open.
Yeah.
Unless you're Disney, they'd find a way to freaking patent that shit.
Probably.
They've been recycling that mouse copyright for forever, it seems like.
Yeah. Our lawyer did put us in touch with the Robert Heinlein estate. And so after we're successful, and again, we have our kitchen set up, they want us to start making some Space Marines.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So, the Warhammer guys will have something too. Won't be Game Shop original, but close enough. Let's put it that way.
Brian wants to know, obviously possibilities are endless, but do the flavors match the monsters like cinnamon flame monster or salty sea hag?
Well, we're gonna have different flavors for everything. We did think about using kobolds and goblins originally, but those don't taste so good.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah, no, no. So the flavors we have Valheim lime, we have blueberry, we have scary cherry, we have marshmallow bellow, we have goodness. Let me get my cheat sheet up. Watermelon felon and pineapple grapple. And then the other spicy ones, and going from mild to wild, we have jalapeno jumpstart. We have not so mellow yellow. That's using a Thai pepper and pineapple. Then we have hoppin' habanero, which is going to be an orange and habanero. Then we have watermelon fire hose, which is watermelon and ghost peppers, and that's where the heat really starts to kick in. And then we have cinnamon spice and nothing nice, which is Carolina Reaper and cinnamon. And that one comes on like a fireball.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is your favorite?
I think my favorite's the jalapeno lime combo, because again, it starts off as a citrus lime, and then it slowly transitions into this jalapeno salsa. And I just find myself wanting to eat one right after another,
Did
It's
you
kind
say
of like
hopping or hobbit?
hopping.
Yeah. I was like, one of those will definitely get you sued. As Gary Gygax found out.
Yeah, halfling habanero. Yeah, I like hopping.
Yeah, I think you can use halfling. I don't think you can IP halfling.
I'm pretty sure you can. It's all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. I know when we copyrighted Nerdarchy, we could copyright Nerdarchy, but I don't think, but not for nerds by nerds, because they're common words put together into a phrase, something like that. At least that's what my attorney said.
Yeah. Well, so nowadays the trademark stuff really isn't as powerful as it used to be, because most stuff's done online. And if you own the URL, then it doesn't matter if another company owns the trademark. You're still allowed to use gummyminis.com. That's what we have going for us.
Oh yeah. Brian says you should try and says he thinks you can patent the custom flavors.
I don't know if you can do that. That's a good idea though. I'll check into that.
You're gonna get back to I have another way.
Well, so
you again.
I do have a method for the dragon. I mean, again, if you think about how a dragon is shaped, it's got its wings coming up, it's got the horns coming, the neck, the head, everything's independent. And you can't just use, again, a little split part mold like that, because you'd rip it apart as you're taking it out. So I've actually figured out we could basically make an origami box that would fold around, and then you secure it, and then you pump in the gummy juice and let it freeze, harden, and then you can take in, again, unfold this box and pull your gummy dragon out. And so that is something that I think we're going to be able to patent, but that's down the line after the Kickstarter, after the kitchen's set up and we fulfilled
and after
all
you prove it works.
Yeah, well, there's that too, right?
There's a reason why no one's made the origami mold, apparently.
Yeah, well, so
that's like a Hellraiser box.
Yeah, I don't want to make one of those. No thanks. We do have a way of 3D printing a reverse mold that we can then pour in silicone to make an actual mold of.
Okay.
And so I don't think it would actually be all that difficult to create one of those devices. Again, I looked into so many different ways to have these things manufactured.
Yeah.
First, we thought we would go and make our own gummy injector, like injection molding. And then, all of the goblins were going to be pieced together with the flashing, and it would, come in a box just like, your normal gummies that you have to glue together and cut off and scrape and paint and all that. And that would have been a mistake to go down that road.
We've learned.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of trial and error going on over there.
Oh, definitely. A lot. But we're now more on, the successes. It's everything we try now is pretty much a success because we know it's going to work because we figured out so many things along the way.
So why goblins first?
Goblins first. I mean, that's what Matt Covell said. He said we could have little goblins, and I was like, that seems like probably the easiest thing to start with.
Yeah.
And Wolfgang told me, well, you know where you messed up, Michael. You didn't make a kobold first.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Maybe we'll get
It all depends who you talk to. This person's gonna be kobold. This one's gonna be a goblin. This is gonna be an orc.
Yeah. Well, I've had people tell me that I should have started with player characters, and these were DMs that were telling me, I want to be able to eat my player.
Yeah.
Like that's a valid thing. We should do that.
D&D just got a lot more lethal because the player characters minis have become edible.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the other thing. Kill stealing's going to go through the roof. I want to eat that.
Well, I know that Doug, I think he used to use Skittles. And like he said, he would make the monsters that he wanted to last longer, the flavors that he didn't think people liked. So they would kill like the cherries and or whatever the other popular flavors are first.
Right. So that's going to be the cinnamon spice and nothing nice.
Yeah, you'll make those your big bads, and then that's almost like punishment if you have to eat the monster you kill.
Yeah. You said we could make them booby traps, right?
Yeah. I mean, that could definitely be part of the Gummyverse lore for sure. For those flavors, that's so cool to have corresponding food items to the monsters and maybe even PCs in your game world, your heroes.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole reason we did it, is we want to bring it alive a little bit more, make it a little bit more instinctual, right? You're eating it, you're biting its head off, make a show of it, like my daughter does. Throw the head at you.
Are your kids gamers?
Yes, they are. Both of my kids are little nerds, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, what about the missus?
No, she does not game.
Yeah, what did she think of this idea when you're like, I'm going to make gummy D&D minis?
She laughed. Which, I mean, everybody that we told that isn't a gamer laughs. And then, that some of them are like laughing because they think it's ridiculous. Some of them are laughing because they think it's a great idea. Some of them are laughing because you're wasting your time. And no, I don't think we are. I think we're onto something, and I think people are going to like it. I already know people like it.
And which laugh did your wife give you?
The kind of, it was, that's cute, darling. You're going to spend money on what?
This is like, I just got to wait until he finds something else shiny to pay attention to. And then you didn't let go. You're like, no, I'm making gummy minis.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely latched onto this thing hard.
Oh, yeah. Gingerbread. So Park says gingerbread taverns, gummy minis, fruit roll-up battle mats, and character sheets.
It's not a bad idea. You could do a little one-shot dungeon on your little fruit roll-up. They print shapes on those things now, right?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost feel like you'd have to do like pre-gen characters though. Figuring out how to write on them would be a little tough.
Well, maybe not the character sheets, but definitely a dungeon, map would be great.
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, you could do it you could actually do a time thing or a race thing, and like as they go into the dungeon, you have to break off the pieces behind them and they have to eat it.
That'd be good.
And if their eating catches up to their minis, that's it. They're gonna be done. It'll be like the never-ending story.
Yeah.
So when you do game, are you usually the GM or a player?
I'm usually a player. Russ has been DMing for us, and we also have Alex Vargas, who's been DMing for us. He does a great job. And he loves playing with the minis, I think even more than I do, which is awesome. Yeah. But type of characters I like, my favorite character would be Ceridian that I've ever played. And he's a little halfling gloomstalker, and it's just amazing. I love having rope trick. There's a lot of things you can get away with with using rope trick, but I don't like really playing wizards. I feel like it's a little bit too far out there for me.
Oh yeah. Did you say lizards or wizards?
Wizards,
Wizards. Yeah. They're very two very different things unless you combine it into the lizard wizard.
the lizard wizard.
Yeah. So do you play other games, or are you kind of just like D&D centric?
Pretty much D&D centric. I have stepped out a little bit to play others. Again, I played a lot on computer.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't until the Marine Corps that I started playing D&D. But before that, I played like EverQuest. I played all the first-person shooters, things like that. But I never really realized what I was missing in all of those games, and that's the storytelling aspect and actually being able to share these experiences, which is what I love. And that's what Game to Grow is using for their therapy, is that shared experience. It really helps people come together. It draws people with autism out of their shell, out of their self-isolation. And it's really it's powerful. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I mean we've had quite a few people on that actually professionally use gaming as therapy. So it's definitely taking off that that field, and people are using it more and more. And I mean we've used role play in other fields as well, like business and stuff. So why not actually use the role playing games for for therapy? Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what made you decide you wanted to partner up with a charity?
Well, I really like the idea of giving back. I've always been a generous person. I like helping people. And then when I did hit my head, I was in the hospitals, and that's when I learned about the children's charities, or the Children's Miracle Network, and getting donations that aren't for teenagers. They only get in toys that are for little kids. And I was like, well, we could help change that and give them the gummies. And so it just seemed like it was a match in heaven. Now, working with two charities, that wasn't really my idea. But when Adam Davis came up with the idea of spicy gummies,
Yeah.
I was like, well, I've never made a spicy gummy, but I could try. What are you thinking? And he pitched the idea for Spice and Dice. And man, I was like, yeah, I'm in on that. We're going to do that.
Was the Hot Ones, was that show the first one to kind of like do that kind of idea? Because I feel like a lot of the ideas are coming from that, with the spicy
Yeah,
foods.
I think so. I haven't seen anything like that before. I mean, I've seen pepper eating contests, and that stuff
Yeah.
gets wild. Seeing these people almost passing out while they're eating peppers. Hopefully, no one from the C team passes out. I would think that would be bad publicity.
We'll see, man. It all depends on like how many of those donations come rolling in.
Yeah, exactly, guys. If you want to see Jerry Holkins pass out, just keep paying.
And you said that's going to be at PAX Australia?
It's going to be during the American hours for PAX Australia. It's going to be on the on twitch.tv/PAX.
Nice.
And that's on October 9th at 5 Pacific, I believe.
Oh, so that's like just a little bit more of a week away, more than a week away.
Oh yeah, it's next week.
That's
Next weekend.
Yeah, that's coming up. So do you have any so is there going to be like a competition aspect to it for them?
I'm not sure if they're going to try and, I'll eat more spicy gummies than you or whatnot.
Yeah.
But again, it's whenever a donation meter fills up, then they have to eat a gummy. I think there's 4 sections in that meter. So every time they eat one, or every time that section fills up, they eat a gummy, they eat a gummy, they eat a gummy, and then it moves on to the next level, and the power meter has to fill up again. And so they go the 5 different levels of the gummies.
Oh, so how many gummies did you send them?
Oh, a couple hundred.
That's a lot of spicy gummies.
Yeah. Well, we also sent them some normal ones as well, so they can have them on the table and eat those in between.
Yeah.
We sent them some pint glasses with our logo on it and gummyminis.com on it, so they can fill it up with milk and have some relief.
Don't fill them with water, whatever you do.
Oh yeah, that's a mistake.
That's a mistake.
They're gonna have to do something special, I think, to get the milk. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna play with that, but
so it is going to be part of it.
oh yes, yeah.
That is so cool. I want to see what those rules are going to look at when they're finally come up with them.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be my most favorite live stream ever. I'm pretty sure.
Wow, it's going to be pretty epic. You also have a bit of a personal stake in that.
Oh, just a little bit of a personal stake.
So that's going to happen. That's going to happen during your Kickstarter too, then.
Exactly.
Oh,
it's almost
nice.
like they timed it like that.
Yeah, yeah. So are you going to get a shout out for the Kickstarter during the event?
Yeah, we actually have a commercial that they're going to be playing during the break, and they're going to be talking about it. As the gummy minis come in, and have to get to the next spicy level, they're going to list off the name of them, stuff like that. So
you're gonna end up being like a gummy mini mogul after the next month.
I would love that. I would love that. I just want to.
You're like, I got $4 million. That's a lot of gummies I have to make now.
Well, I would love to have that problem.
Like,
because that gets us to bigger.
I was gonna make all your gummies and deliver them, but instead I've decided to just build a gummy castle and live in it. Sorry, you guys get no gummies.
I don't know if I could do a gummy castle down here in Texas. Might be a little bit hard in the summer.
Oh yeah, definitely melt in the summer.
Yeah, I should just make the gummies and give them to people, shouldn't I?
Maybe you should do that instead.
Seems like
Park says rolling that 20 to get the glass of milk.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't roll a 1 or you're gonna have to eat the spicy ones, right?
Yeah, that'll be brutal. So, have you played with the spicy ones in your games yet?
We have not done that yet. We need to.
We don't hate ourselves enough for that.
They're spicy. I'm not gonna lie. It's the top two, the ghost pepper and the Carolina Reaper. They're a little bit spicier than I care for. I like spicy food.
I guess you're the chef, so you have to eat them, right? You have to try it.
Oh yes. I've eaten my fair share, so I know. And it's while we were testing, my wife and I were like, "Is this hot anymore? I can't tell if this one's, because you had so many, you become like blind to it."
Oh yeah.
Make it hotter, And then we took a day off and we came back and we're like, oh, maybe that's a little too hot.
Have you had any issues or stories about like when you're making the hot gummies, like any problem with like the vapors in the air?
Oh yeah, while you're cooking it.
Yeah.
You lean over and you try and smell if you get it. The cinnamon one's really the worst for that, because that cinnamon's got that pungent aroma to it anyway, and then you pair it with the Carolina Reaper, and it's like, I don't know, it's like inhaling acid.
Yeah, cinnamon's kind of spicy all by itself,
right?
I know when you add to like, I remember I lived with my in-laws and my wife many years ago, and one of the customers where I worked had given me some peppers, some hot peppers that they had grown. I was like, oh cool, I like hot peppers. So I cut them up and threw them in the steak sandwich I was making. But I cooked them on the griddle, and I totally gassed out the whole entire house. And it was like I was like filling the house with pepper spray.
Yeah, that's basically what it's like when we're cooking them. I can only imagine what it's. And we're doing smaller batches because we're doing it here in our kitchen. But when we're pumping these things out, I can only imagine. Maybe we will need respirators like the dice makers.
Maybe, depending on how spicy you get with things, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they all get unlocked, right? So some of our stretch goals are going to be the different flavors of the spicy gummies.
I think you will. I think this is going to do really good. It's very different than anything else that's been out there. If you're getting a shout out at PAX, that's going to be huge as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just a cool idea.
I'm really excited about it.
And if we want gummy dragons, we got to get gummy goblins first. So make it happen, people.
There we go.
Yeah. So final thoughts before we head on out?
Oh, final thoughts. Please check out gummyminis.com. That'll take you directly to our Kickstarter. Donate for the kids in the hospitals. They're really going to love them. Little kids love them. Teenagers love them. Adults love them. And let's make something new for the community. Let's do this, guys.
Let's eat some gummies. Now I'm so freaking hungry. I'm so mad at you right now, Mike. I'm supposed to be fasting. So, thanks for coming on. Check out the links in the description, everyone. Until next time, let's stay nerdy.
Thank you.